A very good morning to all of you. Welcome to today's news analysis. We are doing the Indian Express Papers Chandigarh edition, and today is 20th of December. Now, before starting with the analysis, I have shared the handwritten notes of important facts, important news events on the Telegram as well. So from there, you can get a good idea as to what we are covering. So morning before starting the analysis, I share that. Okay. Now coming to the first news, the first news about the suspension of the MPs from the opposition. So 49 more MPs have been suspended. Total is now 141. So this means about, so this I'm taking from the editorial, about 5 crore of population is suspended. Its views will not be reflected in the parliament. And this comes at a time when important laws like the criminal law bills, etc., are being taken up at the parliament. So the opposition is saying this is a strategy, right? The government is saying that the opposition members are frustrated and thereby they are creating ruckus in the parliament. Fine. Whatever it is not good for the parliamentary setup. It is not good for the democracy. Okay, so this is the issue. Now I want to bifurcate this. Actually, I'm referring to today's opinion section. So one good analysis is there, which talks about that all this is happening because of lack of deliberative mechanism. So one theme is lack of deliberative mechanisms. So there is this article which says that this is happening because the parliamentarians, especially from the opposition, does not have much option when they have to raise a matter of priority or of significant concern. So the basic tools are adjournment motion, calling attention motion, censure motion, which we have read in the Lakshmikant, but they are not adequate and more needs to be done. So that is one view. Second is, same author is saying that the rules of the legislature, Lok Sabha, Parliament, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, etc., they are actually framed by the government. And this is going in accordance with the British practice. The British did not want discontent against their regime. They didn't want so much of criticism. So they created the framework according to their convenience, and the same is being followed. Right. So this is again, in a way, a suggestion of subversion of the democracy. Okay. Now, as a larger picture, as far as the exam goes, effectiveness of Indian Parliament. So that is the theme that we can think of, which UPSC may likely ask. Just effectiveness of the Parliament. I have a short video also so that also you may refer. Okay. Now moving on, the Gyan Vapi mosque issue resurfaces. Again, it is there in the news. So let me first discuss the issue and then what was there in the court, all that we will cover. So it is simple. There was this temple dedicated to Lord Vishveshvarya, right? Apparently built by Chandragupta II of the Gupta dynasty, who is also known as Vikramaditya. So he built this temple, and it is believed to be a temple dating to the Puranic times. So it was later recognized and built by Chandragupta II, and subsequently other kings have also contributed to it, rebuilt over the years and all those things. Now come to the times of Aurangzeb, a king which is emperor who's known for bigotry. So some orders, some confusion is there, and he orders the destruction of this temple. And on top of this, a mosque is created, which is now known as Gyan Bapi Mosque. So the foundation is that of the temples, and on top of it, the mosque has been created. Okay. Now jump to the present times. Uh, so not to the present times actually, more recent times, 1991, when the Ram Janmabhoomi issue was started. Okay. So at around this time, this, because the issue of the Babri Masjid Mosque, all those things were there. So the PV Narasimha Rao government, 1991 government, they enacted a law known as Places of Worship Act, which is Places of Worship Act 1991. which basically said that those religious structures, the nature of worship of this religious structures shall not be changed. It debars the changing of the nature of worship of the religious places. It will remain as such as it was on 15th of August 1947. So post that, nothing can change. It cannot be reversed except for the Ayodhya temple. Okay. So that's it. So that means that the mosque will remain as it is according to the law. And the Waqf, now this thing has gone to the courts also. So the Waqf, which represents the mosques in the India, they say that this cannot be reversed. Now this matter has gone to the High Court, right? Allahabad High Court. So they are hearing this issue. And the High Court has said this was opposed by the Waqf on the grounds of Places of Worship Act. But the High Court has said that we are merely granting permission for ascertaining the religious dimension of this structure. If was it a Hindu structure or not, was it built on this site or not? We are just ordering a survey. We are permitting the survey to take place. We are not saying conversion to the mosque. That's all it is. But we all know that eventually it may result into this. So on the technical grounds, this thing has been started. And further, the court has commented that this should be done in a urgent manner. So that's it. Okay. Some city specific news. I feel city, rural news, local news, urban, whatever. These are important for your case studies. Governance issues are more or less reflected over here. So one issue that comes at least from the Chandigarh, Punjab area is the terror of the dog bites. So simple, in your district or in your subdivision, you are the recently appointed STM, the matters of dog bites have come to light. You are sensitive about the concerns about the rights of the dogs, etc., at a personal level, but the people are, they're concerned about it. So basically, what are the options available for you? How will you deal with this issue? We state with merits and demerits, right? And which is the best possible solution that you will recommend. So that's how you can prepare this topic. Likewise, there is this concern with regards to the swine flu that is coming up. The scientific name is H3N2 for swine flu. Swine is with the pig. Next, I think should be judicial pendency. Yes. So what is happening in the parliament? The winter session is going on. So first news is about 35 posts for judges. The law minister has saying in the parliament with regards to some question on judiciary that 35 posts for judges have been created in high courts in the last 5 years. Fine. I think that's sufficient for us. So that is one thing. So this of course concerns with the issue of pendency. The second statement he made was with regards to accessing of the justice. So he was asked a question with regards to the language barrier. Judicial language is that of English, while obviously the Indians speak in various vernacular languages. So how are they addressing the issue of language barrier with judiciary? So there is a mention of electronic Supreme Court reports, which shall be in the vernaculars. They are making an effort. It will also provide the English version of all judgments free of cost to judges, right? So that conversion of language will be done at the reports level. So that is being discussed. Okay. So the issue of pendency comes in. Judicial pendency and appointments, and one of the issues with regards to the judicial pendency is shortage of the judges. So first of all, some fact with regards to the pendency of cases. So we had this. We have about 4.5 crore cases which are pending according to the most recent fact. Approximately 41 million, which is 4.1 actually, 41 million is coming from the lower courts, 71,000 from the Supreme Court, and some lakhs in the higher courts. So roughly it will be 4.1 something, right? So it will be still 4.1 crores. So these many cases are pending. It's not a good situation. And yes, of course, the time of giving the judgments also is spanning between 2 to 5 years at least. So that is a concern. Now, one of the issues is, of course, the shortage of the judges. So, how do we state that the amount of judges are short? So we have the 120th Law Commission report, 120th report of the Law Commission, which says that there should be 50 judges per million of the population. According to international estimates, it should be 100 judges per million of population. Million means 10 lakhs. India, it is 21 judges per million. So there is a problem. Another indicator could be that sanction strength is in any case less than what is required. We are about half of the sanction strength at the higher courts level, at the Supreme Court no, but high courts and the lower courts level. Now, what needs to be done to address the issue of judicial pendency? That PIB I have shared with you. So some series of steps that the courts and the government is taking. Right. So here from here you can get it. So this is the PIB. Otherwise, the simpler approach would be just Google PIB pendency and UPSC next to it. You will get the facts. Okay. Most opposition members absent on Lok Sabha, which passes three key bills. So one is the NCT, National Capital Territory Delhi law, then CGST, some law with regards to the tribunal, and provisional collection of taxes bill. These key bills are important, but I don't think from exam point of view. Then there is lumpy skin disease, which is there in the news. There is lack of data with regards to this. So that's it. It's lumpy skin disease affects the cattle. Zoonotic disease. Okay. India favors. Okay. Recently, with regards to Israel issue, UNGA vote took place, right? UNGA vote with regards to immediate call for ceasefire of violence, cessation of violence should take place. Israel is pounding on Palestine, the Gaza region, so that should stop, given the humanitarian concerns. Up till now, India was abstaining from voting, because India did not want to offend the Israel as well as the Arabs. It wants to have balanced relations between both the countries. But recently it voted for ceasefire, which of course goes against Israel. Israel wants to continue with the war. So Prime Minister Modi receives call from Israel PM. And that's all actually. Otherwise, this to me is nonsense. He is briefing him on this thing and all those things. So, right, we're not concerned. Main issue is that India didn't vote in favor of Israel. Okay. In the meanwhile, Yemen's Houthis are Shia group promoted. It's a rebel group in Yemen, supported by this one, Iran. And Hamas in Gaza is also supported by this one, Iran. So Houthis are targeting ships which are moving towards Israel region. So it's affecting the security in the Red Sea region. In fact, the logistics cost, it is believed, overall will increase by 20 to 25%, because the shipping areas are looking at not coming from the Red Sea region, but coming across the Africa, the Cape of Good Hope, the route from which the Portuguese had come to India. Next, how to tackle pollution in Delhi, and some of the great insights about shortcomings with certain techniques like cloud seeding techniques that we talk about, right, leading to precipitation, artificial precipitation, or use of air purifiers, or even so, and critical assessment on that also we get. So first of all, so we have an interview from a scientist from SAFAR, founder director of SAFAR, which is System of Air Quality and Weather Forecasting Research. This works under the Ministry of Environment, Ministry of Earth Sciences, and the Government of India. It is responsible for coming up with the AQI, right, which we know, and it's color graded thing. The gases that are there, that also you should know. CO2 is not part of it that much, right? So So he is asked about what needs to be done. So gives the following suggestions. So one is of course the pollution more so in the winter times, start onset of the winters. So he's suggesting one is that stubble burning is taking place. One of the reason is that once the paddy thing harvest is taking place, there is very limited time for clearing the land for rabi cultivation. So he's suggesting that rabi cultivation can start earlier. Paddy one can be preponed a bit. This can be done by, of course, shifting away from crops like paddy 44, who have a larger gestation period. So that can be done. In fact, the issue is with the paddy stubble, why not? And the Punjab, Haryana, this belt over here is, of course, a bit semi-arid. So why cultivate paddies? Some other diversification should take place. Crop diversification should be done. So it will also help with the water stress. Okay, so one with the cropping is done. Next, the stubble that is generated that can be converted into energy. So waste to energy, for example, conversion to ethanol. Then, of course, we know that they can be used as fodder for livestock. Right? Briquettes can be made. All those things. So that can be done. Besides, he talks about dust management and all the other steps. Now, besides, he is asked certain questions on the airshed approach in pollution management. So, what is this airshed approach? I have shared with you an article on the airshed approach today in the morning. I was thinking we need to prepare this separately also. So, airshed approach is the basic idea that the pollution of Delhi is not pollution of Delhi, right? It is coming from the air in the vicinity also. So there is an air shed. So air shed is the geographic area where pollution get trapped, creating similar air quality for everyone. So the pollution issue has to be managed for the entire geographical area. Now, as far as Delhi is concerned, we have Central Air Quality Management. So there is this body known as CAQM, which directs in the airshed area as to what steps, measures should be taken up. So something like this should be done. Then, for instance, there is again the Delhi government last year we saw sprinkling of water because of pollution, so that the pollutants are there, they are water is sprinkled so that it comes down. But he says this is illogical. It should be done only in select areas where more pollution is there, and more so in those areas where construction dust is there. Then, with regards to the odd even scheme. So, odd even scheme is saying the problem is that overall it's the vehicular pollution which is contributing about 40% of emissions. 40% is coming from here, 40 is double burn. So, 40% is there. Now, in this, you say odd and even. Odd and even is for private vehicles, yet for this thing, and they are actually contributing 8 to 10% of pollution. So 8 to 10 of pollution is coming from this sector. If you do odd and even, you are only targeting 2 to 3%, which is inadequate. So much resources required, but only for this plus inconvenience. So that is not justified. With regards to cloud seeding, that is artificially getting the rains, right? So that mechanism of cloud seeding. So he says that is also not a perfect solution. If it can be done, very well and good. One is, of course, it is costly. Second is, for cloud seeding to take place, there should be clouds. There should be actually cloud condensation nuclei. The cloud should be there and cloud moisture should be there. Further, if you are able to do it also, you don't know which way the clouds are moving, right? So you want precipitation in a particular area, it may take place in some other area. So that may also be a concern. Further, creating awareness amongst the citizen is of utmost importance. Okay, now we come to the editorial opinion section. Breach and stain. So the fact of about 5 crore of population not getting reflected because of the suspension. So this was taken from here. Next, we have let them speak. So this is the author. He's from the PRS. We all love PRS. Okay. So the views that I shared earlier with regards to inadequate deliberative mechanisms regarding contentious issues have been taken from here. So that was one argument, and the other argument was that the way the parliament would be governed, the rules of parliament, etc., they are based on the pre-independence British template. Next, the deaths, the caste violence that we are seeing, caste discrimination in the schools and higher colleges, that has been reflected in this article. So one recent incident of a video recording of Dalit students made to clean the septic tank, so that has come to light. Then Dalit student, SC student, uh, beaten up by a upper caste teacher. Right, beaten up for drinking water from a pot meant for upper class teacher. So the institution of the caste issue is quite rampant in the schools, despite the schools should be actually one of the ways by which we get rid of all these things. So it has perpetuated at the very bottom level. Okay, so this is reflective of systemic failure. It reflects upon the apathy towards the generational trauma from one generation to another, the caste ways it is going on. Even in the institutions of higher learning like IIT, IIMs, etc. So there also we see that suicide thing took place some time back. About 13,000 students are dropping out from these central universities, including IIT and IIM. Those and it's increasingly high amongst the SC, ST, OBC. Others also do it, but higher numbers are seen from this group. So we need schools should be a place of initiation for reform. It should be the initiation of education, inclusion, empathy, and hope. Okay, next article. She's the director of ASER, right? Annual Survey of Educational Report released by Pratham. We all know it's a good report. The government relies on this data. By the way, this is a not-for-profit organization, but very credible organization. So I have some facts. Measuring digital literacy has become crucial since pandemic. This is not the theme of the article. So some key facts I've already written down actually. So one hand, basically the focus is on dropout rate coming down. So she says that dropout rate has come down from 16.1% in 2010 to 9.9%. This is with the secondary level. And with secondary level, the scheme is Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhiyan. So we see a decline in secondary education. Further, with the pandemic taking place, right, there is a proliferation of course, digital education in the recent times. So it has come to light that there was a concern when the pandemic took place that rural populations are disadvantaged, which they still are actually, that because of the lack of proliferation of digital technology, etc. So it is seen that more and more of rural households have access to the mobiles and the connectivity. So in 2018, the proliferation of mobile smartphones was 36% in 2018. So it has come to 67.6%, and in 20 during the pandemic time, and at present it is 74.8%, which is 75% as of 2022. So that's the theme that we get. Yes, of course, we can build on this issue and we can look at addressing the issue of digital divide, right? What schemes are there? Where are we on that front? So all those things. Pandemic has actually pushed in bridging the digital divide, but still there are certain barriers. Next, the climate paradox. So basically, a critical assessment of India's climate change policy. So one is, it says that India's policy has been that of climate justice, that is historical wrongs that have taken place that has to be addressed, which is basically common but differentiated responsibilities with relative capabilities. And the global north should compensate more for the global warming that has taken place. That is one thing. So one aspect that the author has covered. The second is with regards to the recent commitment at COP28 with regards to increasing the renewable energy capacity by 3 times in 2030. Okay. So India has pledged accordingly, right? And India is, it said that India is 42% of renewable energy capacity, installed renewable energy capacity. But India doesn't want the phase out of the coal. So on one hand, we are saying this, but other hand, we on the declaration of phasing out of coal, we were not okay with that, or creation of new coal-based power plants without that uh, emissions capture, etc. So we were not comfortable with that. So that means that we are going to move ahead with more of coal-based power plants. So we are not on those lines. Further, very interesting perspective, the National Electricity Plan, which sets out the guidelines of where India would be. So it says that the it expects the share of renewables to jump to 35%. You see, we are saying 42%. 42% is the installed capacity, 35 in actuals. So it should jump to 35% for the total country's output by 2032, up from 10.6%. So that means this is the present status. In reality, it is this much, although we say 42% installed capacity. So the energy that renewable is coming from 10.6% only. So this jumping to 35.35%. Okay. Next, we have reference of a climate action tracker, which says that India's commitments are highly insufficient and more needs to be done. And of course, then climate related risks are mentioned over here, more of heat waves. You can go on and on with this. Now we have the international news. Right. Nawaz Sharif is now free. He's taking a swipe at the Pakistan army. Okay. Gaza violence is taking place. Things are not good. Coming to the economy section, oil rate is 76.89, US dollar 83.19. Again, it doesn't explain to me how this is happening. Second thing is that, of course, oil is getting cheaper, so we're spending less of forex. Plus, more money is coming into India in form of FPI in the equity market, etc. In the case index. It should have corrected. Okay. Anyways, now we have two articles over here. So one is of course exchange rate, and the other one is this thing. So remember I told you about the Yemen Houthis and how they are targeting ships in the Red Sea region, right? In the Red Sea region, you can refer to the map of West Asia, Saudi Peninsula, Arabian Peninsula. So because of the attacks that are taking place over here, the shipping companies like Maersk, etc., they are looking at an alternative route. They are looking at an alternative route going via the Cape of Good Hope of Africa. So of course, then the freight rates will increase, the timelines will increase, which is not good. Okay, so that's it. And US, etc., are working on it. Some Red Sea force is being created, which will look into this issue. Next, exchange. So we have an IMF report. Long story cut short, we have an IMF report, which is giving an assessment of India's macroeconomic stability and balance of payment stability. That's as simple as that. It tells us about the inflation situation, India's growth outlook, etc., etc. If you already know, right? A lot of things, articles have been covered. Only thing that was bothering me was this line over here. Exchange rate flexibility is a key shock absorber for India. And now, what does this mean? Did more of a reading on this article over here, this theme over here. So basically, it means that obviously key shock absorber, when money is coming in, it's good. When money goes out, foreign currency goes out, it is not good for the economy. Balance of payment crisis, rupee depreciate, local currency depreciating, all these issues take place. So when it says exchange rate flexibility, so it means that the country's economic situation is good. And in case of outflow of money, the first line of defense is exchange rate flexibility. That is, the exchange will self-correct. Let's say dollar and rupee is there. So when the money is going out from India, the rupee will depreciate. The value of dollar will appreciate. Right. In reality, it will be like 80 rupees. It becomes 90 rupees per dollar. Right? Likewise, it will be there. So dollar will appreciate, rupee will depreciate. And automatically that self-correction should take place. Thereafter, of course, RBI has to release the funds and sterilization should take place. All those things will take place. It will be thereafter. That is the thing. It means the thing is good. Automatically, the thing should be managed. Government allows extra borrowing ceiling of rupees 60,000 crores to states for NPS. Okay. Uh, Government employees, pension, part of it is contributed by the government for the new pension scheme. Center allows for any scheme, actually pension scheme. The government is free to do what they want to do. The state governments in particular, let me write state governments to avoid confusion. So they're free to do. Okay. So what this is saying is that of course state government can make payments, but they are allowed to put extra money by borrowing. Additional funds have been released by the center to the tune of 60,000 crores. So they can breach the fiscal deficit goal of which is fixed at 3% of gross state domestic product. Right. So this they can do. Plus 3% plus 0.5%, which is linked to performance. So that much they can breach if it is for NPS. Now this comes in at a time when the various state governments are promising, especially when the elections were taking place, that we will move away from NPS to OPS. So the union wants NPS to take place, not OPS. So thereby, to encourage this thing has come up. That's it from today's news analysis. Thank you for streaming into our channel IS Primers with me, Shubhashish. Bye bye, all the best. I've covered the analysis by the way. Okay. Bye.